Good morning, everyone. Oh, my God. Oh, brother. It's going to be a long night. Oh.
Is Art ready? Okay, Art's ready.
All right. Can you cut that section out? Rats, too bad. All right, good evening, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to call the November 28th Fire Committee meeting to order. Let's do a roll call. I'm here. Commissioner Champagne. Here. Commissioner Archambault.
Here.
Commissioner Hogan.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Santoro.
Here.
Commissioner Scullin.
Here.
Excellent. I want to come in until afterwards.
Okay.
All right. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moment of silence. I didn't have anyone to...
No. Okay.
No. It's less impactful. Yes, right.
Yes.
I'll wait till everyone comes in. I just wanted to say before we swear in probationary firefighter Dallaire that Commissioner Jones and I had the opportunity to go and attend the graduation ceremony at the Rhode Island Firefighting Academy. And it was a very nice ceremony, and it was an honor to be there. So I thank them, if they ever see this, for inviting me. This was really, and you know, I'm sure Commissioner Jones, if you want to say anything about it.
It was a very impressive ceremony, and was also impressed that our new probationary person was elected by his peers to be class president.
Yes.
That was very impressive. Congratulations.
That's a very important thing to state, because we are the benefit of his training at the Mass Firefighting Academy. And as, oh my God, I'm so sorry, at Rhode Island Firefighting Academy, sorry, that was really awful, but, you know, I worked there. But to have our new probationary firefighter as the president of the class is even more special, because that shows the integrity and the willingness and the intelligence that he will bring to our fire department. So before we begin, let's give him a round of applause.
Madam Chair and fellow commissioners, it's my great pride to introduce Matthew Dallaire as the new probationary firefighter for the Cumberland Fire Department. Matthew is from Warren, Rhode Island, and is 21 years old. He's a graduate of Mount Hope High School in 2014 as an honors student, after which he enlisted in the Rhode Island Air National Guard during his senior year of high school, and then attended Air Force basic training in San Antonio, Texas. He also enrolled in technical training to become a C-130 crew chief in Little Rock, Arkansas. And after 8 months of training, he returned home and fulfilled his National Guard duties, along with earning 32 college credits towards a bachelor's degree in criminology at Rhode Island College. In 2015, he was offered a full-time position as ceremonial guardsman for the Air Force Honor Guard, where he has rendered military honors on 144 retiree and veteran funerals. While working full-time as an active volunteer in the Warren Fire Department for the last 5 years, which came with great accolades from Chief Gallinelli upon my inquiry, he obtained his advanced EMT cardiac license and was certified as firefighter level 1, 2, in hazmat operations. The Cumberland Fire Department was the first fire department that he applied to, and he is very grateful for being granted the opportunity to serve this community. I, myself, would like to instill the pride that I was deeply indebted for, that he was elected the class president. It shows his leadership and his poise, and probably second to his father, who is standing next to him and will be pinning his badge, who is a 32-year veteran of the Warren Fire Department and holds the rank of captain, Captain Jeff Dallaire. At this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
You'll repeat after the chair.
I,
I,
state your,
Matthew Dallaire,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will be true and faithful to the Constitution of the United States
that I will be true and faithful to the Constitution of the United States
of America and the state of Rhode Island,
and the state of Rhode Island,
and support the laws and Constitution thereof,
and support the laws and the Constitution thereof,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of probationary firefighter
of probationary firefighter
with the Cumberland Fire Department
with the Cumberland Fire Department
until I am legally discharged from there.
until I am legally discharged from there.
Congratulations.
Recess.
Yes. If we could do a 5-minute recess and come back at 7:15. Thank you. Let us go to the approval of the meeting minutes from September 28th. Is there a motion on the table? Motion to accept by Commissioner Archambault. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Champagne. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Scullin,
I will abstain from voting on these. I was not at the
you
meeting.
were not at the meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none. Shall we go for a vote? Up to 6 people are voting on this. All in favor of accepting the minutes from September 28th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are accepted, passes 6-0. The approval of minutes from the 24th of October. Is there a motion on the table? Motion to approve. Motion to approve by Commissioner Champagne. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archambault. Is there a discussion? Solicitor.
Based on an email that I received forwarded by you from Commissioner Santoro, I reviewed the tape from the end of that meeting with regard to Article 7, Administrative Staff Benefits. I'm going to suggest that someone make a motion to change line 160 to read, it starts out 7 from the bylaws, period. The resolution will be to, and then strike, amend the bylaws to take out Article 7 and keep in to add Article 7, and then take out the same section in a resolution. So the sentence will read, the resolution will be to add Article 7 in a resolution. And I think that takes care of Commissioner Santoro's concerns from the last meeting.
Motion to make what she just said, and thank you.
Motion to accept the changes.
Yes, the amendment.
Motion to accept the amendment. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Scullin. All in favor to accept that motion? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion passes 6-0.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Santoro.
Number 3, line 30. You could add the word alleged before the word misbehavior.
We have to, oh, excuse me, we have to approve. No.
Did you already approve? Or was that just an amendment?
No, that was just the amendment. Continue.
I make a motion that we add the word alleged after the word recent and before the word misbehavior in section 3.
So you have a motion to add allege. Is there a second? So you're making the motion?
I am.
Okay. So Commissioner Santoro is making the motion. Is there a second? Anyone seconding the motion? There is no second. That motion fails.
Motion fails.
Motion
Okay.
fails. Okay. Now, back to accepting the minutes to the meeting.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Commissioner Santoro makes a motion to accept the minutes as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Scullin. All in favor of accepting the minutes as amended, say aye. Oh, I'm sorry, discussion. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm sorry.
He moved to amend it. It was no second. Now you're making a motion to
The previous
amend.
amendment, the previous amendment.
The one that Ms. Mara spoke of.
Well, we're talking about two different sets of minutes then. Are we? Are we still on the 20?
We're still on September's. I mean, October's.
October.
We're still on October's. So we have amended the meeting
Okay.
notes.
Just wanted to clarify it.
Yes, okay. All right. All in favor of accepting the amended meeting notes, say aye. 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 Opposed?
Aye.
You're opposing? Okay, so it passes 6-1. Continuing on. Chief, I'm sorry, any other old business? None. Now, any communications? Thank you. Nope. Okay, moving on. Any old business? None. New business. Finance reports for September and October. Diane?
Does anybody have any questions?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Scullin?
Quick question on the September report. A check on socket door, 32,
Excuse me, what page are you on?
page 20.
Page 20, thank you.
Very bottom, on socket door, 3225, $3,200.
Correct.
Was that what was the door that was that a full door, 2 doors, or?
Chief?
That was 2 doors at Station 1, and 1 door is being reimbursed by the Cumberland Rescue. So it's actually only $1,600 that we are going to put out.
Oh, I thought those doors were replaced.
I'm sorry, the door openers.
Oh, no.
We had a failure of the door opener on engine 1, where it came up and it kept running. The stop just didn't disengage, and the door kept running, and it burnt the belt off. And when I went down to look at it, the door opener on Rescue 2s was the same age, so I just had to replace both openers at the same time while I was there. And the rescue director has said that they will be reimbursing us the
that was just on door openers,
the door
okay.
opener.
All right.
So that 1,600 or whatever will be reflected, whatever it is.
I just was wondering what doors were doing.
Yeah, no, that's good.
No problem.
Any other questions for Ms. Carolation? How about October?
Shouldn't we approve one at a time, or? I make a motion we approve September finance report.
Accept the report.
We can accept it.
Oh, so no, we just accept it?
We're just accepting it.
Do you need a motion for that?
You don't have to, but your practice is to.
Motion to accept?
Motion to accept, is there a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Champagne. All in favor of accepting the September financial report, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against, say nay. Passes 7-0. October's report.
Any questions?
Madam
And then
Chair, question?
I have a
Commissioner
comment.
Scullin.
I didn't do this on the September one, I just combined it with October.
Okay.
Overtime line item. Now, it looks, I guess, the 305,000 we were over budget. We've already applied that to the line item. Going forward,
What page?
page 44.
44?
Overtime wages, we're at 71.75% of budget right now. But does that include our over budget from the previous fiscal year?
Can you just tell me what line item you're on? I'm having trouble hearing you, too.
6400.03.
Okay.
On page 44, yes.
Overtime wages.
Your question was?
71%.
Is this number including what we were over budget in the previous fiscal year?
No, it does not.
So at this point, we're already 71% of this budget?
We are. Fortunately, we've had one firefighter come back on duty, and
One retired.
one retired. So,
We still have 3 out though.
and then we still have 3 out.
So we are looking at another deficit.
Possibly, we can look at reducing spending. We have also budgeted for contingencies, and this may be a contingency this year.
But somewhere along the line, we still got to make up the 300,000 we were short in last budget year.
Right, and that's why we're adding, we have a maximum of 4% levy for probably the next 5 years, at least.
Okay.
We did hire a new, we have a probationary firefighter, so that will help. And having one person back from injury will help, so.
But we're still leaving 3 out.
Yep, and it's coming into cold and flu season.
You covered it.
Okay,
Okay.
we think alike.
I also wanted to point something else out. I'm reporting income and expenses a little differently than we have in the past. We're taking prepaid expenses, for instance, we paid our huge VFIS bill in the beginning of the year. We're breaking that up into 12 months. We're taking taxes and we're breaking that up into 12 months. We can report what the income, we can report it as income earned even though it hasn't all yet been received. It just becomes an accounts receivable on our books. That gives us a more realistic line item every month. So if you look at the bottom line and you look and see how we actually are doing for the quarter, it will look better. You'll look every month, you'll see, you know, after the first quarter, in September, we were around 25% income, 25%. I don't have it exactly in front of me. I'm looking at October, but for expenses, we are at 35% at the end of October. And for income, we were at 33% at the end of October. I'm spreading it out through, so otherwise we collect $2 million in July. We're showing a huge profit. That's not really a profit for that month. So this is giving us, I believe, a more realistic picture of our income expenses on a month-to-month basis.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. Anyone else have any other questions?
Motion to accept?
Motion to accept the October report, financial report. Motion seconded by Commissioner Champagne. All in favor of accepting the report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Passes 7-0. Thank you. Chief,
Yes.
your report, September.
In September, we had 400 responses, and they're broken down as shown on the following page. All our hose and pump testing had been completed by an independent testing firm, Waterway Incorporated. Inspections, plan reviews, and resales are continuing at a higher rate than anticipated, and we had also started the liquor and food license inspections. Every establishment that is licensed by the town council needs a yearly fire inspection. So that was all, that was started in September, and it went from September into the second meeting of November before we had compliance. The great bunch of guys that we have, I received, ironically, one of our members was honeymooning in a South Pacific island, and they were out on a guided trail trip, and one of the other participants in the guided trail didn't have the proper shoe wear on, and got cut on a piece of lava. So our member went back to the vehicle that brought him out and was able to bandage the lady up sufficiently that when they got back on the cruise ship at night, she was able to continue dancing. Ironically, the lady's from Plainville. So she hunted down who the member was and sent a nice, thankful letter to us on his behalf. So it just goes to show we're really never off duty.
Motion to accept?
Well, just one second. I want to just make a comment on this. So there were 400 runs for the month of September, and I just did a little math. That is over 1 run an hour for our fire department. So if someone's saying they're not busy, that's really not true, because these guys are very busy. Or they were in September anyways.
And, that's 400 incidents. Some incidents will have the 3 engines and the ladders responding. Some incidents, like now with the Department of Health protocols, the 30-minute CPR on scene, because of the fatigue factor, we end up sending 2 vehicles to the scene to administer CPR. So the cumulative runs are never reported. This is just the single dispatch run. So, and I will say that Rhode Island was the last state in the country to adopt the 30-minute on-scene CPR, but we've had at least 3 successful saves just in the town of Cumberland since that rule has been implemented.
And I bet those people are grateful that you sent replacements to help out.
Yes.
Congratulations. All right.
I got one question.
Yes.
Chief, what did can we put some kind of article in the paper as to this new protocol?
There has been,
Because there's people, I've heard a couple of people complain, they don't understand a lack of knowledge causes, in my eyes, a problem. And they see a bunch of firefighters, and why is it taking 30 minutes, 40 minutes for them to, how come they're not doing a grab and snatch and throw them in the back end and run to the hospital? I think we either do some type of article in the paper, or I've noticed in looking at other websites, some of the other fire departments throughout the state and elsewhere have an explanation on their website as to exactly why. Number one, the first question is, why is an engine showing up on a rescue call, and why is it taking so long, and why is there 2 engines now? And, I'm just trying to head off and educate the people why, how come, what for.
Yeah, I'll certainly revisit it. I know when it first came in, Director Thompson at the time had done a pretty lengthy article with the Valley Breeze on the new protocol, but I will follow up to explain again. Repetition sometimes is the best form for memory recall, so we will get an article put together. It might only be in January, because right now the papers are so busy with Christmas ads and holiday festivities that the article tends to get lost with all of the busyness of the papers and the advertising. But
Okay.
I'll see how how Mr. Ward feels about it, and then we'll go from there.
And is it possible to have a IT person put that on the website? So this way, if there's any questions by anybody, to any one of us, or even to a firefighter doesn't have to stand there and to try and explain the whole thing. So, it's explained right on the website, go to our website, and they explain to you, and you can take your time and read it, and it explains to you what the process is.
Yes, we can work on that.
Okay.
Chief,
Suggestion.
do you know if the State Fire Chief Association is going to do a follow-up to their initial TV commercials and ads they did with positive outcomes?
There's been discussion of forwarding the results. We haven't really moved in that direction yet. We've been successful in Cumberland. Some of the other communities haven't had the experience that we have had yet, so they've just been holding off their support. But as they see the examples and the successful resuscitations, I think they'll come on and we'll see what we can come up with. We do have the Rhode Island Fire Chiefs does have a public relations firm that they're working with on a consistent, or they had been working with on a consistent basis with the SAFER grant.
Motion to accept the September. Motion by Commissioner Champagne. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Scullin. All in favor of accepting the September report, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Passes 7-0. October. Question.
Yes.
Were there any fires on Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Cooking?
Correct.
Okay. Thanksgiving is the
Bad cooking?
bad cooking.
There was
Deep frying?
there was no deep frying this year, but there was some bad cooking that resulted in, I think, a takeout meal.
Thanksgiving is the largest day of fires in the calendar. I'm sure I've mentioned that before. I probably do that every Thanksgiving. Okay, moving on. Any questions for the chief on the October report?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Hogan?
Chief, a couple of quick questions.
Yep.
Where are we with Ladder 1 as far as equipping that with the CAF system?
The CAF system was shipped, and we received it on Monday of Thanksgiving week, whatever that Monday was. And Tuesday, Platoon 3 installed it in the compartment. They install the air bottles to drive it, the tank, the hose bed, the hose, everything has been installed now. Instead of just sending us random lengths of high-pressure line, they called and they said, when you get it installed, we're going to tell you, we'll mark all of the fittings, just call back with the dimensions of the hose that you need. So on Wednesday, I emailed them the length of the hose. Unfortunately, Thursday was Thanksgiving, and Friday they were closed. I touched base with them yesterday. The hoses were being made yesterday, and they should have been shipped today, overnight by FedEx. So once the hoses are in, we'll be able to charge the system and get it into operation.
Now, when we okayed this to burn a fire control company,
Yes.
installation was included in that $8,800 cost?
No. Because none of the companies were local, it was all dependent on our installation.
No, there was one that had installation included, but well, it says installation included, there's no price, but... now, what are we looking at as far as if something happens with this, if it wasn't installed properly, or there was a problem, are we gonna have an issue with warranty, or?
It's self-contained. It was just a matter of bolting the implements into the compartment area that we chose to put them. So the tank is self-contained. It just had to mount on the chassis plate. The hose bed, the hose was already installed in the hose bed with the necessary fittings to go from the tank to the hose bed. It was just a matter of getting the length of the line to feed it. The air control valves, depending where we put the valves in relation to the air bottles, determine those lengths. So it's just a matter of getting, I think it's 6 hoses, and it'll be operational.
And we'll have access to the top of this ladder with hoses to...
We wouldn't bring this to the top of the ladder. It wasn't designed for that, because the 50 pounds that you would lose in friction loss going up the ladder with the 1-inch hose, you wouldn't get a sufficient flow. The ladder pipe is a 3-inch line that runs up the ladder, which is fed from an engine that can overcome the friction loss. This is basically for the car fires. They pull up first. It's a room and contents fire. Make a quick hit, a knockdown to slow the fire down till the rest of the shift arrives to complete extinguishment.
Now, did we have an issue with that fire at Sitescapes a couple of Fridays ago? I know that was the first on scene, and obviously we had no water in it to put the fire out.
No,
we
but...
had 2 engines that were tied up somewhere else, so we had to get...
Yeah, we had 2 engines going to Mount St. Rita. Ladder 1 was the first one on scene, and they were followed in by engine 2 from Albion, which was about 30 seconds behind them. And the initial setup, because the fire had traveled up the front of the building, the ladder was going to the roof to try to slow the fire from traveling across the roof. Yes, I would have loved to have had the system to see if it would have put it out, but we didn't have it. So engine 2 from Albion started the initial line. Engine 1 was about a minute behind them. They came in, they set up the second line with a water supply from the hydrant that was in the yard and flowed the foam on it to successfully knock it down.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jones.
Chief, question on North Providence interest in Truck 5, the aerial ladder. If that were to happen, that could benefit us. Could you explain, like on the run cards, like into a third alarm, we might see that truck come back to us, right?
Correct.
And also, would that truck, since it's only a town apart from us, I know we have reserve pieces, but would that be available for us to get back?
No, it wouldn't, because North Providence is listed as an ISO Class 1 community. They have to maintain a single engine and a single ladder solely for their department. So they would, and that's the problem, they were bringing their reserve ladder for service at Greenwood Fire Apparatus, and they were on 295, and the lower end of the motor let go. So it's a $70,000 bill to replace the engine in the apparatus that's 24 years old, and they're just not going to do it. They're looking at ours, although it's not a 100-foot aerial, which is what they have listed. They're willing to use the 75 for the ISO standard as having a sole reserve ladder. I have to touch base with him, Chief Del Giulio, this week to see which day he wanted. He wanted his mechanic to come up and look at it. And with the holiday last week, we kind of got sidetracked with the days available.
Okay, thank you. So there would, might be a little feature in this if that plan goes through with North Providence, that we might see that truck come to us, like at a major, I don't know what the alarm assignments are, but there's possibility there. So with the truck being local,
It's certainly a possibility. In North Providence, in your packet tonight, there is the run cards, and I'm not sure just what alarm North Providence comes in on.
6.
Okay, so on the 6th alarm, it's a possibility we would see it.
okay, thank you, Chief.
Chief, thank you very much for providing the mutual aid going to and coming from. In reviewing these mutual aid calls, the reason why I asked was the concern for us going out more than we're getting people coming in. It looks like we have 12 times we've run out of district and 2 times we've had people come into district, excluding the 5 EMS calls, which were just rescue squad calls, and our engine company responded with them.
If I could just interrupt you for 1 minute.
Sure.
I ran that for a 2-month period, so if you look at the top of the blue shaded line, you'll see the start date is September 1st and the end date was October 31st. So that's for a 2-month period. So we're back to like 6 and 3, it comes to the same, but I just didn't want you to think it was just for the month of October.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
And the reason why I ask is that you know, some of our equipment is getting a little bit dated, and I just don't want to see other departments relying upon us to always be the go-to district to have our equipment up and ready to go.
And your point's well taken, but the reputation of our firefighters have somewhat brought that to the forefront, that the surrounding communities can trust, depend, and know our guys will be reliable on response.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chief.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Jones?
Chief, just a quick question while we're on the run cards. First alarm, just so I'm clear, the RIT team is not assigned for first, like that's included in the second alarm?
Yeah, the first alarm is when dispatch receives it, and nobody has got to the scene yet. The engines, the ladders are still responding. That's the initial alarm. As soon as one of our apparatus or a police officer gets there and confirms that the building is on fire, that will initiate the second alarm, which will bring an engine company from the Lime Rock district and a ladder company from the Albion district, and the second rescue in Cumberland. And if there isn't a second rescue in Cumberland, if you just drop down, you'll see they'll grab a rescue from Lincoln. So each of these columns just moves down through availability. If we're going to work and it's a significant event, then we would go to subsequent third, fourth alarms. The second alarm also backfills our stations for coverage throughout the town. You'll see that in the right-hand side underneath the yellow block.
So the second alarm includes the RIT team?
The second alarm includes the RIT team and station coverage.
Thank you.
Where do these, I just noticed, I'm sorry for asking at the end here again, where do these task forces, who are they made of?
Well, which task force would you like to know? The foam task force for 2808 would be the foam trailer that we have at Station 1 and the foam trailer they have at Woonsocket. I'm not sure what station in Woonsocket, but they're identical foam trailers at Woonsocket has one, Cumberland has one, Johnston has a third one, Providence has a fourth one,
Okay.
East Providence has the fifth one, and I believe Warwick has the sixth one. So they're teamed. Each time you call for an additional task force, you get the next two closest phone trailers.
Mass casualty?
Mass casualty, that's being updated because there's a lot of private ambulances that were on the MCI that are no longer in business. So the MCI now is reliant more on municipality rescues until we can get a handle as to what ambulance companies are still available and still in the region.
Okay.
And the tanker task force varies
same
by area. For us, it's Plainville, Rentham, and North Smithfield. And that would be our initial tanker task force.
And that's the same old thing when there's no hydrants, you just have a bunch of trucks and you put the big pool out, that kind of thing?
Correct, yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
Motion to accept Chief's report from October, motion seconded by Commissioner Scullin. Motion was suggested by Commissioner Santoro. All in favor of accepting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's accepted. Moving on. Passes 7-0. Okay. Chief, you want to talk about the Mendon Road land?
We had Madam Council and I attended a meeting today with representatives of the state, and I would like to hold public comment to a subsequent meeting where we could go in executive session, because there are some particulars we would like to reveal that probably wouldn't be pertinent in an open forum this evening. So if we could, I know the next meeting is the 18th. If you would want to do an executive session on that evening, that would be what I would request so that we could go through what we've learned today.
Motion to table by Commissioner Scullin. I'm sorry, Commissioner Santoro. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor of tabling this discussion and going into, and we'll indicate that on next month's agenda, that we will go into executive session regarding this conversation. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Thank you. I should get rid of staples. All right. Resolution. Commissioner Santoro.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I have something to add to new business. You want to do it after these referendums, or you want to do it before? It's what I passed out. It's up to you. You're the boss. You're in charge. And
You want to, what do you, I don't understand what you mean. You want to amend the agenda?
yes,
Okay.
and I have supplied supporting documentation from the Open Meetings Act 4246-6, subsection B.
So you can amend the agenda only for informational purposes
That's if you're a school committee.
and may not be voted on except where necessary to address an unexpected occurrence that requires immediate action to protect the public or refer the matter to an appropriate committee or to another body or official. You cannot amend the agenda to take action. You can only do it for informational purposes.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Commissioner Santoro.
I have, as I passed out to all the members in the committee, if you'll read subsection B, fourth line down, nothing contained herein shall prevent a public body, comma, other than a school committee, comma, from adding additional items to the agenda by majority vote of the members. The reason I bring this up is, for a little background, is I watched, before I ran for this office, I watched the videos for all the meetings, and I watched the chair former chair, tell a member he couldn't speak about anything not on the agenda. This law is quite clear that if the majority of this committee decides a topic that's brought up can be discussed by majority vote, it can be added to the agenda. It does not say, if we are a school committee, the rules are different. A public body, other than the school committee, may add additional lines. And this is per the state law.
Madam Chair.
Solicitor Morris,
Paul,
please.
if you read, I mean, if it wasn't on the agenda, we could always add it to the agenda, but we can't take action on it. We can't vote on it. We can discuss it. We can't vote on it.
Well, and even more specifically, it's only for informational purposes. So
Right.
I would ask you to avoid making opinions or individual determinations on the record. There's plenty of Attorney General's opinions on this. And I will warn you that if you do amend the agenda to do anything other than present information, then you would be in violation of the Open Meetings Act.
And isn't it correct to amend the agenda at the beginning of a meeting?
That's Robert's rules. I mean, if you want to amend it now, again, simply, I'm not sure what you want to amend, but simply for informational purposes.
Correct. There can't be
Then
no discussion.
I don't
There
have a
can't be
problem
no
with doing,
action.
I don't have a problem with doing it now, but I would strongly suggest that if somebody wants something on the agenda, then they tell either myself or Finance Director Carolishin when we're drafting the agenda, rather than doing it at a meeting. It is just not, really not appropriate to, unless it's an emergency. There are times, there might be something really important, and that's an exception to the rule. But to add at a meeting, yeah, I'd be very careful of. I would say that you'd have to tread very lightly, again, for informational purposes only. It's like an announcement. If you have an announcement to make, you can do that at general announcements. That's providing information.
My only concern at this point is, and I appreciate what you want to do, Paul, but I think it's better to have it on the agenda next month, and it can be discussed. Right now, we're really skating on thin ice, that once you put it out there, it's going to generate conversation.
So,
And that conversation's already going to go a little too far, and then next thing you know, we could have a complaint filed against us. And
so
it could be, we could be right and they could be wrong, but still, you're opening up a Pandora's box that you got to spend a lot of time on, where this issue of open meetings, and I appreciate what you're doing, and I understand what you're doing, is why can't it wait till next month and be put on the agenda in the proper fashion? This way here, there's no questions and no problems.
The reason why I bring this up is twofold. One is that the past group and myself personally, I've been told I can't speak about a topic at all because it's not on the agenda, which is inaccurate according to the state law. Whether you claim it's for informational purposes, for example, when I tried to ask the chief about the ladder and the progress of the purchasing of the ladder months ago, I was told I couldn't ask at all because it was not on the agenda. Now I'm being told this can be an informational. And then furthermore, if I could ask the chairwoman to ask through the solicitor for some precedents of case law to support. Nothing I read in here says anything about other than a school committee. Nothing else says in here that I can read says to me that I had nothing to add tonight, nothing at all. For example, if somebody asks, can we buy all the members of the fire board Class A uniforms? If the board decides majority of the vote, you want to add it to the agenda, according to this law, from what I'm reading, it can be done.
But if you look, Paul, it says, "Such additional items shall be for informational purposes only and may not be voted on except where necessary to address an unexpected occurrence that
That's in relation-
requires immediate action to protect the public, or to refer the matter to an appropriate committee or to another body or official." Now, maybe what we should do...
With all due respect,
is-
Ron?
Hold on one second, let me finish, please. Is, I don't know if Madam Solicitor or someone in the Chief's office can get a bunch of the handbooks from the Attorney General's office that not only gives the law, but also cites the violations that other fire departments have had or other bodies.
Commissioner, they're all online. They're all on the Attorney General's website. You can all look at them.
I've looked at them, so, and that's, I think that's where you really need to look at some of these decisions are, to really get a clear picture of what this is saying in Part B.
With all due respect, the sentence you're referring to follows the word "school committees may." However, that it,
No, it talks about a public body.
school,
Remember, the public
school,
body during the commencing session of the school committee
Yes.
said informational items. But
so
you
school,
can't go-
school committees, if I may.
Right, but with us, we can add something to an agenda by a roll call vote. You can discuss it, but you can't take any action.
It's got to be for informational purposes
purposes
only.
only.
And the sentence that Commissioner Champagne is referring to is both public bodies, including school committees. That is what that means.
If I could weigh in on this discussion. I am a little hesitant about adding any item to an agenda after the agenda has been posted. Because, number one, it's not fair to the public, because they may want to, someone may want to be here to have a conversation about this or make some public comment. But more importantly, actually, is that we've been down this road, and we were very lucky to not be in violation of open meetings. And I would prefer not to have to go down that road again. So I would request that, and I understand your concern, but I would request that, unless it's an absolute emergency, there's no reason why anyone can't call. Diane lets everyone know when the agenda is getting ready. Someone can't get a hold of her and say, "Can you please add this to the agenda?" 3 days before even, 4 days before. I'm sorry?
48 hours.
Right, 48 hours before. So I don't see, unless it's an absolute emergency, I don't see why any of us within 48 hours would have something crop up that they would really need to have on the agenda. That's my comment.
And I agree completely. My purpose mainly is not major topics, it's not major items. It's mainly to have the ability to simply ask the chief a question of something that may have happened. Mr. Hogan mentioned the fire a couple of days ago. It wasn't on the agenda.
And you asked something that wasn't on the agenda today either, also.
You
Exactly.
asked it under Chief's report.
You
Yes.
asked it under the chief's report.
Yes.
Which
So-
is fine. That was part of the
Exactly, on the chief's
discussion.
report.
Yeah.
I'm asking about something totally separate. So if I were to add, if there's something that, I'm not asking to expend thousands of dollars. I just don't want to have this board, or members of this board, feel as though we're being censored, which is what I've watched for the last 36 months. When the chairperson, not you, you've been wonderful.
So, Paul, I'm sorry, Commissioner Santoro.
Paul's fine.
No, that's all right. I have, as chairperson of this board, I have tried to not replicate the ills of the previous board. And I would really appreciate if we stopped delving into what happened, because that's not happening anymore. You know, if we could, my position was, we're moving forward. We're not repeating these mistakes. It was a new board. We all were new to this one big board. And, you know, mistakes were made, relationships were not established, but my intent was to maintain good relationships with everyone, and moving forward, we would not repeat those ills. So you have my assurance that things like that will not happen. But if I feel that any one of us is talking off the agenda, I have an obligation to the state of Rhode Island to say, we need to stop this discussion, it's not on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay?
And I agree with that. You've been a very fantastic chairwoman, and we've had a very amicable relationship. I work very well with you, and I appreciate your leadership and guidance. I think the point's been made, and we should just move forward.
Okay, great, thank you. It was a good point to bring up, and this was very helpful.
Thank you.
I got educated. So, thanks. I always learn something new at these meetings. Back to accepting the chief's report? Did we do that already? We did that. Moving forward, that's right. Resolution number 32. Authorizing the finance director to fund account 6510.01 from the Freedom National Bank retiree healthcare account 1007 for fiscal years ending in 2018, 2019, 2020. The fund was established for the retiree health care for Cumberland Hill firefighter retirees, and it is going to eventually get to a zero balance. The transfer is not going to affect the budget, but it will just be and identify what the account, where the specific expenditures are made out of that account. Now therefore be it resolved by the Cumberland Fire District as follows. The Finance Director is authorized to fund account 6510.01 from the Freedom National Bank retiree health care account 1007 for fiscal years ending in 18, 19, and 20.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Scullin.
I'd like to make a motion to table this item pending the actuarial study that we have approved on this account.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion on the table to table this until the actuarial
Finance Commission.
research has been done, seconded by Commissioner Santoro.
Discussion?
Any discussion?
I have some discussion.
I think, thinking the same thing. Okay, so I think it's for you and for Mr. Archibald. Should this be referred to the Finance Committee? And Diane, is there enough money in the account right now to cover these expenses for the next?
Funds that were
Okay.
that were set aside by Cumberland Hill for the Cumberland Hill fire retirees. I had spoken with the Attorney General's office regarding whether or not we could use these funds in our general fund, and he said no, these were designated for the Cumberland Hill fire retirees, and that's what the money should be used for. Given that we had a shortfall last year, we thought that this was a way to help our shortfall for the next 3 years. There's a little over $300,000 in this account, so and about $100,000 covers most of the annual cost of the Cumberland Hill retirees. So this has really nothing to do with what will happen in the future.
Who is that? Is that like Rihanna or something?
So this money has to be used for Cumberland Hill retirees. This was discussed at budget time, and if you look at this year's budget, it's a line item to fund, it's in the income section of our budget, to fund retiree health care from that account. I thought, and the solicitor thought, it would be best that we would put this in a resolution.
Right, based on,
Excuse me, one moment, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Scullin.
Motion to table in a second. We should vote on a table before we have any further discussion.
It's true. All right, all in favor of tabling this?
We'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote it is. Voting to table, Commissioner Jones?
I don't have enough information to really make a, on the table, because it's historic. It's like from your previous board.
I think the resolution speaks for itself and its face, and that the Auditor General has recommended this. We discussed this at the
Excuse me,
Finance...
Madam Chair, now we're trying to coerce the board.
No,
If I can just,
This is,
don't start banging.
this is a joke. Just,
All right,
you
gentlemen,
don't have to explain, the Auditor General has nothing to do with this discussion.
Gentlemen, all right.
if I can just advise on the tabling, if you want to have further discussion, you need to vote on the table, as Commissioner Scullin said, and then you can move on. But Commissioner Scullin is correct. There should be no discussion on a motion to table.
But once it's tabled,
You can always vote, I'm not telling you what to do. You can bring up the tabling again if you want, but he's right. Right now, you should not be discussing.
so when it's tabled, we can discuss the issue?
No.
And then untable it after?
No.
No, somebody made a motion to
Yeah.
table,
Yeah.
So you have to
and
table.
you have to
We have to
vote
vote
on
on
the
the table.
tabling. If you don't feel that you don't have enough information on tabling, then you vote a certain way, and then you can have the discussion.
Understood. Motion to table, that's the vote right now, right?
That's the vote.
No.
Commissioner Santoro,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Hogan,
Yes.
Commissioner Champagne,
No.
Commissioner Scullin,
Yes.
Commissioner Willett, votes no.
I lost track.
The motion to table it wins 4-3. Okay.
And now we can have discussion?
No.
Okay.
Moving forward. Resolution number 33. Authorizing the finance director to hire Sparrow and Company as a consultant for accounting and financial matters of the Cumberland Fire District in an amount not to exceed $5,000. The funding for this consulting fee will be from line 6710, which is budgeted at $20,000, and our contracted auditors will receive $15,000, leaving a balance of $5,000 for this purpose. Principals are billed at $150 an hour and staff at $50 to $110 an hour, depending on the tax. Now therefore be it resolved by the Cumberland Fire District as follows. The Finance Director is authorized to hire Sparrow and Company for accounting and financial matters of the Cumberland Fire District in the amount not to exceed $5,000. Is there a motion on the table?
An explanation.
An explanation would be good.
Diane, Madam Chair, I'm sorry. Diane, is this the company that's going to do the audit?
No. It's been made very clear to me that that's a conflict of interest, that an accountant does not do an audit or advise on any audit matters, strictly for accounting purposes. The 4 districts always had, each had an accountant. Cumberland Hill had one, the treasurer for North Cumberland Fire was a CPA, so they had an accountant. I'm not sure about Valley Falls, and I know Cumberland Fire had their own accountant, outside accountant.
No, we didn't have an outside.
And you did?
No.
You didn't. I have greatly felt the need to use an outside accountant for consulting, for advice with the Auditor Generals. There's just, the level of expertise goes way beyond what I think the finance director. The town has an accounting staff. I just really feel the need for one, and I need somebody to advise me on some certain matters for government reporting, for financial reporting, following accounting principles.
So they're basically just going to put all your ducks in a row before the accounting firm comes in.
Exactly, and sometimes things come up, and I need to say, I'm not sure how we should handle this, whether it's income, whether it's an expense, whether it should be amortized, whether it's something that's depreciated. The auditors, after they do an audit, can present you with a list of things to do, but that's at the end of the audit. if you want to consult with them for the year, that's a conflict of interest because they're auditing your records.
Madam Chair, point of
Commissioner
order. It sounds like we're in discussion mode without having any motions.
That's okay.
It's an explanation of why we're having this resolution.
Thank you. Can I, if you could explain if this is the same company we've used in the past?
I have used this company in the past. I know them personally and professionally.
These are the company we had come in and speak to us that time last year?
That was, no, those were the auditors.
Okay.
This is an outside
This is a whole
accounting
different company.
company.
Thank you. Motion to accept.
Motion on the table to accept by Commissioner Santoro. Is there a second?
No second.
Commissioner Champagne is seconded. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Scullin.
I have an issue basically with spending additional funds that weren't really budgeted for this purpose. Only because we have a major deficit we're looking at. The overtime budget already looks like it's going to be another major problem this year. And if this problem's been there, I don't know why it wasn't budgeted for, and we don't even know these people, you know, maybe they should come before the board before we make any decision on them. But, you know, granted, it's only $5,000 out of a $7 million budget, but right now we really don't have a lot of places to cut. As we all know, the bulk of the budget is made up in salary and benefits that we can't touch.
That's true.
So we're very limited when we have a major shortfall already. How are we going to handle this?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Champagne.
Commissioner Scullin relates to the fact that this is not in the budget. And if you would examine line 6710, external accounting fees, and that's where the finance director is taking it from.
I realize that.
She's asking us to approve, no different than us having a solicitor that we can go to and ask questions. She's looking to have an independent accountant that she can call and ask questions to. She's made a recommendation that she feels comfortable with these people that she's worked with. And if she has a question, what are we supposed to do? Just grab the idea out of the sky and just stick the number where she thinks? Where she needs to call and get the advice from a professional
Well,
in
the
the
Department of
field?
Administration's been giving us marching orders for 3 years now.
But don't make them, you're mixing apples and oranges.
Madam
But
Chair?
to say,
They've been the holy grail forever.
Excuse me. All right, stop.
We actually used NESBAC for the last 2 years to do our W-9s.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Santoro.
So that's something that we need done very soon, actually. We have about 15 W-9s that have to be prepared by an accountant and filed with the IRS. That's one function, but if you know how much it costs to do one tax return, I'm not sure what that's going to cost us, and I'm not sure that I'm going to use the $5,000. I pulled that number out because that's what's left in the budget, and we won't go over that. But I'm looking at strictly for the W-9s and consultant when I need somebody to call to answer a question.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner.
I see this the very same way Commissioner Champagne does. When the chief makes a recommendation, we trust the chief. When Ms. Carlison makes a recommendation, I trust her opinion. I fully support her opinion because I trust her judgment. And I fully support this. And furthermore, Mr. Scullin, to address your concerns about the expenses that we're overrunning, how much is it going to cost for the actuarial investigation that you're suggesting?
We got to put it out to bid. We got $10,000 in the budget.
Okay, well, you know, if we didn't have to have an actuarial study done on numbers that have been approved by 3 different financial people, that's $10,000 we would save. So I'm fully in favor of of backing whatever Diane suggests, someone she trusts and respects. I have respect for Diane enough to go with whatever she recommends.
Commissioner Jones.
Question for the Finance Department, Division Committee. Just like if we bought a piece of fire equipment, we take it out of equipment purchases. That's all this is. By looking at the definition of 6710, external accounting fees, it sounds like the proper venue to contract this firm with, correct? That's what it's there for. It doesn't specify for what accountant or what process, it's just in general. Is that the way you interpret it?
Yes.
Okay, I will be voting in favor of it.
Yes. Commissioner.
Diane, you're not even sure if you're going to come anywhere near spending this amount of money. So, okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All in favor of this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, passes 6-1. Thank you. Number 34, authorizing the fire chief to hire and the finance director to pay the following companies needed for recurring services over $2,500. Commissioner, I'm sorry, Solicitor Morris.
I'm going to ask that you table this. It needs a little bit of work. You just passed the bylaws last month, and some of the requirements of the bylaws are not included, so I want to work with the chief to make sure you have all the information you need in order to pass this.
Thank you.
Motion on table.
Second.
Commissioner Scullin and everybody else, seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor of tabling this, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are tabling it 7-0. Number 35, approving administrative employee benefits.
Madam Chair, if you could ask...
Can I, we're not ready yet.
It's just it's for an explanation. Instead of reading through every single line, I've seen other bodies where they read the initial few lines, and then we can read the rest ourselves instead of you spending 5 minutes reading each word.
I wasn't planning on doing it that way anyway,
Oh, okay.
so thank you.
All right.
I'm 2 steps ahead of you here,
You're
Paul.
always 2 steps ahead of me.
I'm
Thank
going
you.
to read the resolution and then go right to the bottom. This is a resolution approving administrative employee benefits. And as we can see, this came from Article 7 in the bylaws. Is there a motion on the table to...
Motion.
Motion to table.
Oh.
You're not fast enough.
You missed that one. Motion to approve by Commissioner Santoro,
I made a motion.
seconded.
I seconded it.
Seconded by Commissioner Champagne. Sorry, I'm writing these down. Any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Oof, let's start left to right. Commissioner Scullin.
This benefit package, where did it come from?
The bylaws.
No, it didn't. They've been getting these benefits for a long time.
Correct.
Who authorized them?
That's why they're here now.
But they've been being paid for a year and a half without any authorization.
They've been paid for 3.5 years.
Well, we're not really sure when they started.
Almost 4
because
years.
There was a lot of
No,
secrecy
three
going on.
years.
But I think these
say,
benefits need to be vetted.
I'm sorry?
These benefits really need to be vetted. They belong before the Personnel Subcommittee
That's an interesting...
and see where they compare with every other fire district in the state. You know, just to throw them out here because they're there, I don't see the purpose of that. So I would request that the chair refer this to the Personnel Subcommittee for
Madam Solicitor.
a vetting.
Okay. Kelly? Commissioner Champagne has a
I got
question
a
for you.
question.
Yeah.
In other words, correct me if I'm wrong, you're looking to adjust all these benefits. That's what's in the back of your mind. So you're going to go back and tell the person who's been making, for the last 3.5 years, working very hard for us, that we're going to start from scratch one. We're going to pull all the benefits away and we're going to start from
That's
scratch.
absolutely not what I am thinking of.
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
No, I'm not. But going forward, some new employee may not get all these benefits, because these were never approved.
Well, I think they were approved.
You know, you show me on the record where they were approved.
Yeah.
But I think
They
going
were
forward, we
discussed.
need to do business differently.
Well, I think it has to do, if you wanted, in my book, to go and disrupt the civilian employees that we have at this
I'm
point.
not talking
as
about
frozen.
doing that. They've
Well,
been-
you're talking about doing this. Now, if you want, this should be passed, and if you want to submit another resolution for everybody hired after January 1st, 2018, that's fine. But to try and disrupt the people that have been working already and came in and...
I'm not going to
into a-
disrupt them, because this was illegally given to them. I'm not going to disrupt that. The former board is
but-
responsible for this action.
So what you envision is that, I just want to make sure that this is clear in my mind, that you would like to see this go to the Personnel Subcommittee to review the benefits package,
And rewritten, and we'll
Make
grandfather
recommendation.
the current employees, because they're
make
already there.
recommendation, and then moving forward after
Whatever date it is.
July 1st, 2019, this will be the new benefits package.
Right,
Well-
whatever date that could be.
Well, there is no guarantee at this point that the existing personnel are going to continue to receive what they've been getting.
Why not?
That's why...
Why not?
Because he wants to say, he's saying out of one side of his mouth, well, it's going to apply to new employees.
One side of my mouth?
No.
Excuse me?
All right.
Can I speak?
He's saying out of,
Just
one thing
Quietly.
he's saying is for new employees, but now he's saying, well, this was never approved by
by the fire committee,
anybody,
by the board.
and then it's going to go to the board, the subcommittee, and it's going to be reworked. It's not fair to those people that are working already.
Can I just make one point? It's going to be, it's, again, all the subcommittees make recommendations. This is not going to change unless the entire board changes it. The Personnel Subcommittee would look at it and make recommendations. That's all they can do. I just want to clarify.
I just want to clarify that the existing employees are not going to come out on the short end of the stick.
Right. I would not let that
There
happen.
should be a hiring date. Anybody hired after a certain date, if it's January 1st of 2018 or July 1st, but it needs to be...
That's exactly what Jim said.
That's what he said.
That's exactly what Mr. Scullin said.
Okay.
But my comment as a personnel chairperson is that I agree with Mr. Scullin and I agree with Mr. Champagne, both of you. And I ask the chairperson, if you can ask the solicitor to clarify, do we need to do anything in this current resolution that would say employees that are current employees, so we don't run into someone saying to us 3 years from now when we amend this and say that the new employee package is different than what the old employee package is? How do we assure that this package only includes the current employees and not future employees? Should we change the wording anywhere in here? On this
Well, if you're talking about approving this resolution tonight, you could add a line that says, you know, employees employed as of whatever date get these benefits. I will tell you that you are a board that has a term of 2 years, and that the next board can change this. This is not, again, this is the conversation we had the last time. Any given board can make changes to any law that you have in the form of a resolution at any time with a majority vote. So, if the intent, again, I'm not voting here, but if the intent is to give the current employees this package, you could pass this tonight, or you could put it into Personnel Subcommittee, and you can make a recommendation on this ordinance, including any, as it applies to current employees and future employees. I'd be happy to attend that meeting so I can help you with wording if you want to. That's what I did with the bylaw subcommittee, so that's up to you.
It seems like we could, if you suggest the wording you just said, just tell us where to put it.
Well, they're all current employees now. I frankly don't think you need to amend this resolution if you intend to provide these benefits to current employees today.
Okay.
You can change
That's the intent.
benefits anytime you want with a majority vote.
And Mr. Scullin, I agree with you that we need to meet and talk about the future employees, and I think this is a really good idea from whoever brought this forward. I don't know who it was, but it's an excellent concept. We need to codify and write down somewhere. We discussed different parts where. It's not in the bylaws, not in the SOGs for her department. But as long as we've put it in writing, now it's codified. And we're not, as Chairman says, no more going backwards, let's go forward. Let's codify this, approve it tonight, and then the chairwoman can ask us to meet, and the solicitor can help us make new recommendations for the future. That's one question I have. I have another question regarding this amendment, this resolution.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Jones.
From the bylaws committee, this originally was there, and I think we're just moving it out from the bylaws to a resolution form, correct?
Correct.
This is the same language that we had open meetings regarding
Correct.
this. We've had, how many meetings? We had, what, 5 or 6? And these were open meetings that addressed this portion, if I recall. So it's not like it's appeared from nowhere, exactly. I understand, Commissioner Scullin, too, that we should have a process like Dr. Santoro mentioned, but I think the flexibility is there, from what I hear, that it can be changed, but I think we need this.
Passed tonight.
Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Hogan.
I think we have a motion and a second for a table.
No, it was for a vote.
Okay.
He wasn't fast enough.
Fast enough, sorry. I missed that one. I think it should be tabled. I think it should go to the subcommittee. Let them come back to the full board. Nothing's going to change in the meantime. You're not going to add, you're not going to subtract. Nobody's getting hurt. Come back with the information that we need and then vote as a full board on whether to keep this going forward. I don't have a problem. I don't think anybody should be penalized due to language. Past employees, present employees included. But I think going forward that there may need to be some adjustments made here and there for new employees hired.
Okay.
And that's just my comment on that.
Very good, thank you.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Santoro.
I guess this is for the bylaws committee people, when they wrote this. Maternity leave reserved. Should we add in there with this new day of the world, paternity leave? Do we, Chief, does the contract allow for the fathers of newborns to take?
The
Yes.
Family Medical Leave Act
Yep.
takes care of maternity leave for both parents.
Yeah.
But not the payment of what each employer will do. That's just how much time that they get to take without payment. This is meant for, and the word maternity was probably used because we only have female staff right now. We don't have any male staff. But there, yeah, so there is family medical leave, but this would be intended for how many weeks are paid.
If any.
If any.
So I think that I agree with Mr. Hogan. This needs to be cleaned up a little bit, and I would withdraw. I mean, was I the primary motion? I think I was the primary. I want to withdraw my motion.
You can't,
I can't?
you can withdraw your motion?
I
Okay.
want to withdraw my motion.
Madam Chair, just a question. Chief, on that, Commissioner Santoro brought up about maternity leave. Is there something in the CBA that they have a benefit for maternity leave? Or paternity leave, I guess you would call it?
Not that I'm aware of, other than you saying, as FMLA
Okay.
describes, sick leave, vacation time, personal time.
So I didn't know whether, I know some contracts do have maternity and, am I using the right word, paternity, I guess? leave?
Correct.
I
Family
know
leave.
Family leave.
Oh, which is a federal, but that's a federal program.
We'll see it in January of 19 now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to get off track.
But we can look at that while if you're going to send it to personnel, we can look at the CBA to see if you want.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of things, but I didn't see it in there, but that's fine. Thank you.
Commissioner Santoro has withdrawn his motion.
I make a motion now to table.
Second.
Commissioner Santoro has voted to table the resolution, and Commissioner Hogan has seconded that motion. Is there a discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Jones?
to table, can you refer this, is that your prerogative to refer it to
That would be my
bylaws?
prerogative to refer it to the Personnel Subcommittee.
Thank you.
All in favor of tabling this, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. 5-2. So this resolution has been tabled, and I'm going to ask the Personnel Subcommittee to begin the process of looking at this. So I believe, Commissioner Santoro, you are the chairperson. You will be responsible for following the, obviously, the notification of when meetings are, location, and maintaining open meeting law, follow the open meeting law guidelines. And if you could be prepared to, report back at the December meeting in terms of the progress of setting up meetings or whatever, that would be great.
So in December, you want a syllabus of when the meetings are going to happen?
No, just report out. Just report out when, you know, that you have agreed to meet on X,
Oh, of course.
X day.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Just refer, who's on that committee? Was it
Me,
Dr.
Jim,
Santoro?
Chairman Santoro, myself, and Commissioner Hogan.
There you go. Thank you. I didn't bring my folder with me.
motion to, oh wait.
Okay, no, we're still, nope, resolution number 36. We're getting nothing done here. Authorizing the finance director to abate and adjust $1,196.68 for the months of September and October of 2017, because the following items should be abated and/or adjusted for the reasons noted. So we are going to have the finance director authorized to abate and/or adjust this amount of money for the months of September and October 2017.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Scullin.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hogan. Discussion.
Diane, this may be a dumb question, but Berkeley Commons, we're going to abate $500 from that massive,
Cannot be built until occupied.
That's a condo?
Yeah. You can't get it to you. We can't tax it till we get a CO.
who owns it right now?
They're individually owned.
But isn't there a,
The developer.
The
the
developer.
developer owns it, we can't build a developer?
I'm sorry.
We
Not
can't
till
build
it's
a,
occupied.
what's that?
Not until they get a certificate of occupancy. It's non-taxable. They can leave it there for 5 years.
I believe, correct, Solicitor Morris, is that a state law? I think we,
Yeah, and I'm trying to understand, Berkeley Commons Development, I'm sure, is getting taxed on the vacant property as a whole. What this is there's a unit number 31 that's currently in progress being built. So you can't bill them for that unit until it either is occupied or has a CO. Well, no, actually, it has a CO, because we actually researched this, so.
Thank you. Sorry. All right, no problem. Any further discussion? All in favor of accepting this resolution, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Well, no, not yet. Who's the chairperson here? You are. Thank you. Just wanted to remind you. Any public input?
Thanks, Chief.
Good thing I got to go to Target. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Scullin, seconded by? Second. Commissioner Hogan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion to adjourn is accepted. Everyone have a very pleasant evening, and we'll see you December 18th.